Battle lines drawn in federal court today as the state is trying to move a lawsuit filed by environmental groups over the migrant detention camp in the Everglades out of the Southern District of Florida.
Judge Kathleen Williams heard arguments from both sides today, but will make her ruling sometime next week. At issue here, whether the state violated federal laws when they built the camp without first studying what impact it would have on the environment. Local 10's Louis Aguirre has tonight's Don't Trash Our Treasure.
None, because we've looked at it, it doesn't have an impact.
Governor Ron DeSantis doubling down on his claim that the migrant detention center in the middle of the Everglades is having no impact on the surrounding fragile wetlands that make up Big Cypress National Preserve.
This is not, anything that's impacting.
But environmental advocates are pushing back just as hard.
The state acting with the federal government didn't analyze the harm that could be caused here.
That now the basis of a lawsuit filed by Friends of the Everglades together with the Center for Biological Diversity, accusing the state and the federal government of bulldozing over National Environmental Policy Act regulations that require an impact study before taking any management action on protected public lands.
We have documented impact. We have documented harm.
Friends of the Everglades Executive Director Eve Samples points to documented light pollution now flooding this once dark sky park, potentially harming endangered species like the Florida panther, known to roam here.
It's extremely concerning, and we're hearing from people of all political stripes who don't like what's happening.
There's also about 20 acres of new pavement environmentalists say were not there before.
I went back and looked at aerial photography. If you go back far enough, you should be able to see it. You can't.
The camp, rapidly built in just 8 days, now has a reported capacity to house some 2,000 detainees. A once idle airstrip, mostly used for training and practice flights, after plans to turn this into the world's largest airport were shut down in 1970 due to strong opposition by environmentalists and the indigenous people of this land, the Seminoles and Miccosukes. The Miccosukes have now officially joined the federal lawsuit.
Nobody is supposed to develop here, and I thought the preserve was going to stop this type of activity.
At a news conference Friday, the executive director for the Florida Division of Emergency Management dismissed concerns about the environment and claimed the site now is actually having less of an impact.
All of a sudden, governor is tearing up the environment. There were over 100 flights a day coming in and out of this facility.
Data from the flight tracking site FlightAware shows that since 2023, there's only been an average of 5 departures and arrivals per day. And in 2015, Greg Chin, a county aviation spokesperson, told the Miami Herald the airstrip only saw an average of 12 landings and takeoffs a day, though Chin points to recent data that does show an uptick in takeoffs and landing from November of 2024 to June of this year, with an average of 150 operations a day. There's this.
We don't have anything here to support, if they need to come in here and get fuel or maintenance, nothing. This is just purely touch and goes, approach, and stuff like that.
That's the airstrip manager back in 2023. Footage from 2 years ago shows what activity here actually used to look like before. A virtual ghost town compared to now. But still, the state claims with thousands of people now living here, with all the traffic and all the noise and all that equipment, there's zero impact.
You got 5,000 gallons of jet fuel on site.
Environmentalists not buying it.
It's a nice theory, and if it had demonstrated that they have figured out a way to magically appear with zero impact, that would be cool. I would be happy to look at that analysis and review it. That was not done.
But the concern goes beyond the immediate. The concern is the longer that detention camp is allowed to continue, the wider it opens the door for possible future development.
Someone's going to have this bright idea of what else they need to do in the area. That's what is very scary.
There's a risk dangerous zoning precedent could be set that would forever disrupt this wild space that is supposed to be protected by federal law.
This place belongs to all of us. That's why this was created as the country's first national preserve, Big Cypress National Preserve. So all of us have an investment in this, and there's no reason that this facility should be operating here.
Since the news conference last Friday, Local 10 has repeatedly reached out to the state requesting any documentation to back up claims made during that news conference. They've yet to respond. We also asked the state to share the master plan should a hurricane threaten the camp. Again, no response yet, but a heavily redacted disaster plan was published tonight in the Orlando Sentinel. We have so much more in our web story. Scan that QR code. It'll take you straight to the Don't Trash Our Treasure page on local10.com.